Very cool. Oh, Guzzy? Oh,
Huh.
that's where I met them. That's right by my house. The sign. Yes. Yeah. Did everybody get a ticket? Sorry. I'm holding them in my hand.
Winner.
I'm working for this one and got one that was given to me.
Awesome. Now I got to figure out what I did with the other one. Okay. I can't. I'm looking for the other side of the ticket. I don't know. One is. Yep, that's the. It's kind of hard to do a drawing if I don't have tickets to pull. I don't know what I did with them. Yeah. Yep, you guys got the right ones. So where did I set the? And we're past time to get started, and here I am walking around trying to figure out where my brain is. They're in here somewhere. Anyhow, everybody got a plan until they don't. We're going to get started because I've only got this much time to share this much information. I'll try to keep it as concise as possible, but we'll get started. My name is TJ Ziebell. If you want to check out my website, learn a little bit more about me, thetswb.com, the tall, skinny white boy.com. Yes, that's actually what that stands for. Because I'm extremely serial. You can see I even showed up with some poo on my tie. And hopefully you're in the right room to learn about the trifecta, rapid rapport building conversation information. Now, a little bit background on me. I hope you all got a ticket, and I hope that I can find the other parts of the ticket that I had somewhere over here. Shoo! Because we're going to be giving away some stuff at the end of this talk. I've got some journals and a few other prizes, and you guys it'll be first pick. Whoever wants to pick what they want, that's what they get. Give you a little reason on the trifecta. I come up with this. Why? Because this technique, I don't understand why this isn't taught to every human being on the planet shortly after they learn how to say mama, dada. I teach all of my students, all my clients, this stuff. I do a lot of relationship work. And with that, I especially make sure that my relationship clients learn the trifecta, because it's the easiest way to approach, meet people, gather information, build rapport. I also work with a lot of medical industry, EMT, things of that nature. This is a way for them to gather information without feeling like you're being interrogated. What a concept. We'll jump right into it. I'm going to give you the quick oversight on each one as fast as I can, and then with whatever time is remaining, we'll go back and I'll add any nuances. At the end, if you guys have any questions, I'm here for the rest of the conference, or please feel free to reach out to me and I'll explain more. I also have a YouTube channel that has a bunch of this stuff on. TSWB Helps, Tall Skinny White Boy Helps. And every Tuesday night I do an interactive webinar that you guys are more than, I would love to have you on my webinar. First hour I teach on 3 topics, or I try to at least. And then the second hour is actually open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a topic or ask a question, and I have everybody on the call answer first. But let's dive right into it. First one is echo. And some of you are going to be like, oh, I've heard this before. But as a teacher, as a trainer, I'm constantly listening for people echoing words. This type of stuff is being taught by people, interrogators. Chris Voss, who was a top interrogator for the FBI for many years, hostage negotiations, stuff like that. And our very own Chase Hughes also teaches this type of stuff. Echo talk, a lot of people hear it, but they don't quite understand it, and they don't often use it properly. To sum her up real quick, if you come to my classes, normally I would ask questions and try to interact with you, but to save time, the most important words that a person wants to hear are the words that just came out of their mouth. And not something similar to what they just said. The exact words that they said. The reason being is those words do not have to be deciphered, vetted, and see if they're a match. I worked with Dr. David Snyder for many years, and one of his examples was suicide hotline. Somebody calls in, suicide hotline. Yeah, I'm thinking about killing yourself. Oh, so you're thinking about taking your life? No, damn it. I said I'm thinking about killing myself. Versus suicide hotline. Yeah, I'm thinking about killing yourself. Oh, you're thinking about killing yourself. Yeah. Tell me more about that. Well, I'm just having a really sucky life. Oh, sucky life. It's feeding back the words, but it doesn't mean parroting. Parroting is, if you've ever been around children, Mom, he's touching me. He's touching me. Shut up. Don't say that. And it's that direct feedback to where after a bit it becomes abrasive. So when I'm working with my students and my clients, I teach them it's learning how to take a few of the keywords that you hear and including them in the reply. When you do that, people feel heard, validated, and understood. Those are the most important things that in conversations. If you can make the person you're conversing with feel heard, validated, and understood, you will be amazed at how the conversation flows. Now, a quick story that my wife hates, but she's learned to accept. The lady I was dating before I met my wife, we'd been dating for about 6 years. She knew me. She knew my conversation. And Dr. David Snyder taught this, and I'm in the back of the room going, yeah, that's way too easy. Everybody will catch on. So that night, I'm heading home, called up my girlfriend and said, hey, I learned this new technique. I'd love to swing by and show you. She's like, okay. I get to her place, she opens up the door, and I tried to get caught. I am echoing her like crazy. Tell me about your day. And I am, everything that I can come up with, I'm echoing her. We talked for 15 minutes. All of a sudden she's like, wait, weren't you going to tell me about that technique you learned? Yeah, we'll get back to that. Echo, 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 echo. Half hour goes by. She goes, well, what about that technique? I said, yeah, we're getting to it. I'll get right to it. Echo, echo, echo. 45 minutes, I promise you, went by. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I started cracking up, and she goes, what's so funny? And I said, you know that technique that I was, yeah, when are you going to tell? I said, well, I've been doing it since I got here. She goes, you what? And I explained it to her real quick, and she goes, you've been repeating everything I've been saying? I said, well, yeah, I've kind of been repeating everything you've been saying. This whole time? Yeah, kind of this whole time. But let me ask you a question. How do you feel about the conversation we just had? And she paused and she looked at me and she went, this is probably the best conversation we've ever had. And that's when I went, holy banana peels, Batman, for real? I said, how did you feel heard, validated, and understood? She goes, yeah. Yeah, I still get goosebumps. I was like, okay, all right, so we're on to something. That's Echo Talk in its quickest slam form. Number 2, I'm just going to write V and C, values and criteria. Values and criteria are the foundation of every single choice, belief, decision you make in your entire life. You cannot pick a pack of bubble gum without utilizing values and criteria. One thing about values and criteria, when you can learn how to properly elicit values and criteria from the people that you are conversing with, I want you to please be careful. You have such a powerful bit of information with them. And one thing to understand, if you've got somebody that you want to get rid of, you've had enough of them, all you need to do, figure out what their values and criteria are and violate them. Gone. And I've proven it many times. When I teach these classes, we do a lot of exercises because I want people to actually feel what it's like to have some of this stuff come up. And one of the funniest things, and this is obviously not politically correct, this was an exercise. I have to say this but I showed up and there was a group of 4 ladies working together. And they're like, I just don't understand it. And I'm like, you don't understand it? No, I just don't understand it. But I said, well, what's something that you really strongly believe in? And the one lady I picked her for example, and I said, now please remember, this is an example. You're not going to hate me when we're done. It's going to be okay. I do this for training. She's like, okay, well, all right, I got it. I said, what's something you really believe in strongly? She goes, I don't believe in abortion. I said, good, that's awesome. You don't believe in abortion? Okay. What's something else you don't believe in? Why? Guns. I think that guns are just violent and all this. And I said, well, I believe we should do abortions with rifles. And she was like, oh, oh. I went, boom, stop. All that's a lie. But I found your strong values and criteria, and I smacked them right dead in the center. And she said, even 2 hours later, she was still dealing with the energy that I hit on simply finding out her values and criteria and violating them that easily. Now, the other way that you can work this, these things, again, can be used with raising children, obviously relationships, therapy, hospitals, all of these things. Values and criteria, also sales. Now, I get so many people, I hate sales. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do sales. You've been in sales your entire life. Since you were born, you've been in sales. If you wanted a pony, you looked at mom, you looked at dad, and you came up with values and criteria, and you gave them the spiel about why you deserve a pony. Am I right or am I right? And it's been going on ever since. Sales is simply finding values and criteria to match. Now raise your hand if you've ever heard of Macy's department stores. Now, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been teaching this for quite a while and still haven't been corrected. Macy's came into the game late. How did Macy's become such a large conglomeration when they came in late? They were blessed with a trainer who trained everybody that worked for Macy's had to understand how to use values and criteria sales, not features and benefits. Features and benefits is, hey, check out this table. It's heavy. It's got a flat top. It's very sturdy. That's the table. You should buy it. Features and benefits. The quick scenario that I use to teach the Macy's effect is Mrs. Olson would come into the store, and one of the smart, trained sales people would come up and go, hello, could I help you today? What are you looking for? And Mrs. Olson would say, I'm looking for a blender. A blender, echo. What's important to you about a blender? Are you looking for a steel cup or a glass cup? Are you looking for large? Are you looking for small? Do you want the 15 different selections? Are you going to be using it for cooking? And they go through as many values and criteria as possible to get the fit. And finally, the salesman has enough information. He goes, I know. The one that you need, the best fit for you, is going to be the model XYZ. Hold on, I'll be right back. So the salesman disappears. He comes back and he goes, I'm so sorry. We are completely out of the model XYZ. However, I called down to Sears, and Sears had one in stock, and so I had them reserve it in your name. It's at the customer support desk. And Mrs. Olson goes, wait, what? You're sending me to your competition? Well, yeah, because the Model XYZ is what you need. It's the best fit, I promise you. She goes, all right. So Mrs. Olson goes to Sears. Sure enough, there waiting for her at the service counter is the Model XYZ. She takes it home. It is the best blender she has ever seen. It has features she didn't even think about. It fits her to a T. From that point on, who does Mrs. Olson tell about Macy's? Anybody that understands her language, and even some that don't understand her language. And where does she go every single time from that point on? Straight to Macy's. Now, I was lucky enough to be taught some of this stuff beforehand. I've done a lot of different things. There's a pamphlet on the table there that if you're interested to find out my background, it has all the sort of different things I've done. But I also apply this to real estate, car sales. I've got classes for both of them. Know your competition, know the market, know what's out there, so that when somebody comes to you, you can utilize these to figure out what it is your customer actually needs and wants. What's another form of sales? Relationships. And so I have a lot of clients coming to me because they're sick and tired of dating the same loser in a different meat suit. I'm like, well, when's the last time you went through your values and criteria? Probably your first date. Haven't been updated since, so you've been dating the same loser as you did when you were 17. And when I have them list out all of their values and criteria, and I have them go through it meticulously, I'll ask them, what height is your perfect person? And usually I get that look right there. I don't know, 5, 10, 6. I'm like, no. What is their height? I want you to describe this person as though you have known them intimately for 5 years. What is their exact height? What color hair? What color eyes? And then, of course, I get the pushback. They're like, well, I'm not really that specific. I said, that's why you're just picking up whatever floats by. And I've got one well, I've been blessed now. I've been doing this long enough. I've got 4 married couples now. And they are, and I've got a large number of them now that are also doing the ABT. But what happens when people go through this long list? And I had one client that took a notebook, 40 pages of criteria and values. I say, now look at your list. Who do you have to be for that person to pick you? All of a sudden the mirror is here. Now we find things that we can work on and improve on together for them. And I'm going off on a little tangent. For those that know me, I've been around Planet TJ long enough. Any idea what a squirrel is when you're talking? Squirrel! Yeah, my squirrels have squirrels that know squirrels that bring along squirrels, and then they bring the whole trailer park. So I'm going to try to keep this in line. But I wanted you to see an example of how, if you are doing therapy work or you're working with couples or things of that nature, how teaching your clients the trifecta will allow them to go out and find a better fit. And also, a lot of this was designed for the dating community. specifically women. Why would women want to know this kind of stuff? So that they can find out if he's a loser or a keeper in 20 minutes, not 20 dates. And when you start using this stuff, my wife is an executive recruiter. So she looks for city managers and fire department and all that stuff. It's like dating. And she'll find out stuff about applicants that they've been trying to keep suppressed. Her coworker's like, how did you find that out? Because once you start echo talking people and they feel heard, validated, and understood, they'll talk more. Raise your hand if you hate small talk. If you hate trying to pull up conversations, trifecta. Because the person you're talking to will hand you all the words that they want you to use. And when you give it back to them, they'll want to talk even more. I tell my clients and students, it's kind of like learning a new language. The best part is, you already know all the words. You just organize them and you return them to sender, in a little different way. Any questions so far? I know if you guys saw, this is a 3-day class for me, so I'm slamming this down in an infomercial from hell. Okay? Number 3. 3 magic questions. And this one, when I start teaching this, everybody is waiting for, with their pens and their pad ready, what are the 3 questions? There are 3 types of questions. And when you learn the mechanics and what the effects are from these questions, they can, again, be used in any application. Now, the first question is, Dr. David Snyder teaches it as location, occasion. Simply put, it's an open-ended conversation starter. An open-ended conversation starter. And it's in all the years that I've been bartending and sales and all the other stuff, you know what it's like to try and approach somebody and you're like, so what brings you here? Oh, exciting. Instead, if you can notice something about somebody or what their kind of work is, or location, occasion, be like, okay, you're at a wedding. And you can walk up, so are you with the bride side or the groom side? How long have you known them? And you can start in with that. Without going into too many, we're going to go right into number 2 is profession or passion. Profession or passion. The main thing about profession, it is so closely attached to people's identities. You ask somebody, so what kind of work do you do? I am a doctor. I am a salesman. I am a bartender. Very few will say, I do bartending. Unless you get someone like me, they ask me what I do, and I'm like, Can we just do a list of what I don't do? Passion is the other strong one because it gets them talking about something that they are excited about, that they love. Now, one thing that you will find out when you're talking to somebody about their passion or their profession, you will be very surprised at what their passion could be if you're looking at what they're doing for work. The other reason we give the other option is if you're standing in line at the checkout and you get up, you're not going to look at the checkout person and go, "So what do you do?" Ugh. But I will often, because I use this stuff all the time, all the time, all the time. I'll get up to the checkout and I go, "So out of curiosity, what do you do for fun when you're not scanning everybody's food?" And I've gotten into trouble a number of times simply because they're like, "You actually see me? You actually give a rip about me?" And they'll start talking, and then of course I echo. And I'm like, "It's been nice." I've actually had cashiers start to follow me out the door, and I'm like, you got a cashier, and you've got people waiting." And the people waiting are like, "What are you, family or something? You dating or something?" But it's that powerful. Any questions on that? I want to make sure I get all this. A real quick story. One of my clients was a traveling salesman for products for car dealerships. And so I taught him this, and again, he's been studying sales, he's been doing sales, and I got the same, "That's it? Really?" But he had one dealership that he had not called on before. Cold call, late Friday, and he's like, and he admitted he heard in the back of his head me going, "Just do it. Do it the way I told you to, you'll be surprised." So he calls this guy up and he starts echoing him. And the guy starts talking. He didn't hang up the phone or anything. They keep talking, and all of a sudden he brings up, "So what do you do for fun when you're not selling cars?" And he's thinking, "I don't know." He's expecting the guy like as a car collector or something like that. And he goes, "I coach Little League." And my student was like, "Really?" "Well, my kid's was in Little League," and boom. They talked for 45 minutes, half hour after the guy was actually supposed to get done with work. And when they got done talking, this cold call invited he and his wife to come. "Hey, you know what? Anytime you can come into town, you guys can stay at our place, and we're going to go out, and I've got some bunch of stuff I want to show you." And rapport. He was able to touch in and get connected. Now, magic question number 3. Early positive childhood memories. Early positive childhood memories. This one comes with a disclaimer. This one is so powerful that if used incorrectly, you could have a stalker. I promise you. I found out firsthand. When you get somebody talking about an early positive childhood memory, That recall brings up all of those beautiful hormones and that good feelings and all that stuff. And when all of that stuff comes up, who are they looking at? Yeah. Who do those good feelings get attached to? Ah. But you also have to listen carefully to the memory that they bring up and how they describe it. This is so powerful. People will tell you their dark secrets. They will expose skeletons in their closet just as happily as they will the good stuff. Again, I know. This also is why this is really good in the therapy room and working with clients. Because going through this, and you can, the longer you do this, the quicker you can get through this. You will have people that swear to God, when I come in there, this stuff is all kind of a hoax, and I'm just here for smoking. That's it. Well, the smoking wasn't the problem. They don't know that. But you start implementing these things, and all of a sudden they are willing to break down, open up, share things with you to get the work done quicker. Now, two examples to show on how to work this stuff is, you ask somebody, so what kind of work do you do? I'm in the family business. Oh, you're in the family business. So where do you see yourself going with this? One scenario is, I just, growing up in the family business, it's just like they're my family. And when my parents finally handed over to me, I pray to God that I can take care of the family and all the employees just like my parents taught me. Versus, oh, so you're in the family business? Yeah, I've been in the family business the whole time. I frickin' crib was in the office and everything. But I tell you what, when the old man croaks, I'm moving out of the basement and I'm going to show them people who's boss, because enough of this fluffy stuff. We're going to get shit done. Same story. And both people will tell you those stories with the same amount of passion. Not even thinking twice. Again, my wife is an executive recruiter, may or may not use this to get people to admit some of the reasons why they shouldn't be hired. You may or may not be able to find out reasons why you shouldn't date somebody, or let them date your daughter, or rent from you, or sell you something. So that's the three. One word that I'm going to add into here, because I've got a few minutes now. Now I can elaborate on a few things. I would like you all to get much better at using the word might. How might you do this? What might that make you feel? Might is one of those extremely powerful words. Anybody know why? It allows the person that you're asking the question to be wrong without judgment. How might you feel? What might happen if you do this? Instead of, so what's going to happen when you do that? You got one or two options, or it could do this or it could do that. Whereas if I go, what do you think might happen if we do this? Well, it could do this, it could do that. It gives that softening flexibility. Softeners. We have time for that, thank God. Softeners are wonderful. You will, as you think about these, and I'm going to give you some examples, you're going to find one that you gravitate towards. Mine is unquestionably, anybody that knows me, out of curiosity. So out of curiosity, what is the best part of what you've learned so far? Do you see how I was able to ask you a question without just going, so what did you like best so far? The other one, some of the other ones are, so I can understand you better. Another one that is interesting is, let me ask you a question, which ironically is a command, not a question.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Because they're letting you ask.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question. They're like, okay, here it is. Now, the interesting part about these, you can stack as many softeners as you want. So I can understand you better. Out of curiosity, let me ask you a question. There's 3 of them in a row. Again, people that know me know that out of curiosity, if I could get paid $1 for every time I said that in my lifetime up till now, I'm buying some big property, nice property. We actually flipped through this in record time. Yes. Are there any of these that you guys would like me to elaborate on, give you some more information? Again, this is a 3-day class that normally we have interactive exercises and all the above, and these are not even the cliff notes, these are the lines of the cliff notes. Sir?
Yeah, I mean, everybody asks what's important to you about this, so you know right away you're asking for criteria, whatever. Is there any software and what kind of way to elicit someone's values and criteria?
Great question. How to elicit people's values and criteria. If you understand that the basis of eliciting values and criteria is what's important to you about, and how will you know when you get it? Because nothing means anything until you give it a label. And people can hand you a label knowing what it means to them. And you're hoping that your label matches them. This shows up quite often in relationships. You get 2 people and you say, what's important to you in a relationship? And both of them say, respect. What a wonderful label. That's awesome. So you take them and you separate them and you put them in 2 different rooms and you go, so out of curiosity, what does respect mean to you? And the person goes, well, when you think about my feelings before you answer and you deliver your information kindly, and understanding my feelings. And then you go into the other room and you go, so out of curiosity, what does respect in a relationship mean to you? When you don't think that I'm a sissy and you don't mince your words and let's get right to it. Let's cut so that we can actually have a discussion. Now you take these 2 when they have a disagreement, what happens? You don't respect me. And yet they're both going by their values and criteria. Now, can values and criteria change? That's what we do. That's why it's so important for us to get their values and criteria as quickly as possible. Again, we don't do anything without our values and criteria foundation. And so with that, when you can understand what are the main cornerstones of their foundation for values and criteria, can we help them change it? It's very hard for us to go in and go, you need to change that. But if you can point that out to them, why might you want to change this into something else? Again, especially when I'm working with my relationship clients, values and criteria are typically the main reason why they've dated the same person, held the same job, did the same things they did. And where's the vast majority of our foundation created? First 5 to 7 years. Mom and dad tell us what building blocks we need in the cornerstones and how thick that foundation should be. And then we go to school. Cesspool of foundational building, because children are so kind. And those foundational blocks get chipped up, beat up, rearranged, stacked different configurations. Some of them are built in ways that they crumble in certain situations. So again, having the trifecta as a tool is going to help. And one quick story just flashed in. And the universe handed me this story in the best way possible. I was, again, teaching with Dr. David Snyder, and we were teaching in, ironically, a courtyard in hotel downtown San Diego, close to the airport. A lot of airline crew there. We were teaching on the 5th story. 3rd day, so we've gone over all of this stuff. And we're breaking for lunch, and I had about 6 students with me. And we go to the elevator. Elevator doors pop open, and there's an airline captain. He's got all the uniform and everything. And Ray Charles could see this dude was having a shit day. I mean, the dark cloud inside of that elevator was, you could have cut it with a chainsaw. And as we're piling in, I looked at him and I said, out of curiosity, how long you been flying? And he looked up and he goes, 19 years or something like that. And I went, wow, 19 years, echo. I said, so were you the little 5-year-old in the backyard with the toy plane putting on 1 billion miles? And he looked up and he cracked up a little bit. He goes, yeah, I guess. And I said, I just want to thank you for having a passion of flying that started at such a young age that led you to be able to fly people safely to their destination, because I have a lot of friends and family that fly a lot. I really appreciate it. Bing! The doors open, and his energy had shifted 180 degrees. And I said, after you, sir. He goes, well, thank you. And as he's going on, I said, you have a good day now. And he goes, thank you, I will. And I held the students back until he turned the corner. And I said, what did I just do? And they went, dude, you echo talked and 3 magic questioned him. I said, yeah, I did. How long did it take me? 45 seconds? I said, yeah, 45 seconds. And what did it do for him? You completely changed his day. I said, and I didn't have to try and figure out his name or his background or anything. I simply interacted with him to where he felt heard, validated, and understood. And I brought back early positive childhood memories. I skipped right past what do you do or what you're passionate about. I knew what he did. He revealed his passion in me going right back to the childhood. And the echo allowed him to feel like I was listening. And I do this again all the time, everywhere. Street corner, waiting for the light to change. And as you may have noticed, I'm kind of a big dude. I ride motorcycle. And one really quick. One of the great questions to ask somebody about something that they own, is there anything you don't like about it? I will strike up conversations at the gas pump like that. It can be anybody, but cute ladies. How many of you cute ladies, guys try and strike up a conversation? What's the first thing in your mind? What do you want? Well, I can be on my motorcycle, my leather's on, my helmet and everything, and I'll go, out of curiosity, what year is that car? Oh, it's a 2013. Oh, it's a 2013. Is there anything you don't like about it? They're like, and if they tell me something, oh yeah, cool, yeah. I said, I always ask what you don't like about something because I learn more by what you don't like than if I'd have said, what do you like about your car? Oh, I love everything about it. And the conversation can flow from there so easily. Another one, in a store, I'll come up, here's the little cheerleader that every guy with a heartbeat and 2 hormones hits on. And I can walk right up to them again, dressed in very scary stuff, and I'll go, out of curiosity, what kind of shoes are those? Oh, they're da-da-da-da-da. Is there anything you don't like about them? No? They look great on you. Off I go. And they're like, what just happened? But they're smiling. Echo, values, and criteria. There are so many ways to use this. But there's also so many ways that we can eat lunch. And yes, great idea. Thank you so much. I had this wonderful plan where I had tickets and look at okay. If you did not get a ticket, I apologize because they were given first come, first serve, and you must be present to win, and a couple of people did head out. And so I'll let you pick your winner.
Winner. Not me.
Not me? Then who has 007? Huh? 007. You get to come up to the table, and out of these 8 items, you get to pick whatever you want, first come, first serve.
Actually, no.
Huh?
I'll choose this.
There you go. Okay. You want to try again?
No sleight of hand, right?
No sleight of hand.
Did you mix them up at all?
004.
Oh, that's me, bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo was his name. Oh, we'll go grab something quick.
Have him pick the next one.
All right. She's afraid that she's grab whatever you feel is appropriate.
Oh, what are these?
They're all surprises. There's surprises in everything. So
Oh, so it's a gift also?
Yeah, you get to pick whatever you want. And now you got to pick another number for each in there, because we know you're not going to pick yours now. 8, 008. Rosemary, awesome.
So there's like envelopes and books?
Yep, one of each, or one, whichever one you want, one of them. There you go. And now you got to pick the next winner. 6. Okay, there's your winner ticket. Who's next?
10.
10. Perfect 10. Who's got 10? Euro! Right on. We're down to 4 items, so.
We'll see what is inside.
Okay. There's your winner. Now you got to pick the next winner. Number 2. Who's got 2? Okay. Number 1. Who's got ticket number 1? They must. Did they leave? Number 1. Last number, yep. 001. That's you?
Yeah.
Awesome. You got 2 to pick from.
Oh, nice.
Yep, they're both journals.
Okay, cool.
Now you got to pick which. Last one is number 3. There you are. I want to thank all of you so much for coming in and helping me out with presenting this. Hopefully you got something. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. There are some flyers that I've printed. If you guys want to know what I've done, 6 pages of jobs I've had, some of the certifications that I have, and a collection of the classes that I teach. So if you would like some more information, you're welcome to it. Other than that, thank you all so much.